Hey, welcome back to Overhead Athletics. I'm Max Wardell, joined today by Big Rob here. Rob's dealing with a little bit of a strain. And a lot of times what we're dealing with in a sports medicine practice and when we're dealing with a lot of athletes is a lot of muscular-based strains. Got a little sore overworking it. He did some deadlifting, and then he was doing some stuff where he was lifting some things at school for a charity program and just strained some of these extensor muscles here, some of these longitudinal tract muscles. So what we're doing is we're just going to kind of palpate around, feel around. We know just based on what we've done already before the video that he's got some problems when he goes from flexion to extension, or kind of when he just loads up these muscles. So I'm going to have you go on your belly here. One thing I always tend to do when I have someone dealing with thoracic soreness, lumbar soreness, or even cervical soreness, I tend to just go into some thoracic manipulations just because it has the potential to increase some range of motion. But I like to do a little bit of testing here just to give a little bit of a spring test, feel where he's most stiff, and just a little bit of a specific joint play, followed by some more general testing just so I have a good idea of where he may be limited through his ribs or through his thoracic spine, just to kind of loosen that up. And what we've seen through a lot of the research now is that as you manipulate through some of the thoracic segments, you actually get some neuromuscular relaxation in the area. So we like to kind of hit some of those segments, if you will. Deep breath. Out. Nice little manip there. And I like to actually do my manips as I get up between the scapula with the karate hand or the karate chop grip. Deep breath. And I'm actually giving him more force on this vector. Deep breath. In and out. Take up the slack as he breathes out. Nice little manip. And then he's dealing with more soreness here in this area. So what we like to do is just some dummy thumb rolling techniques where we're just kind of rolling over and just mobilizing some of those tissues from medial pushing lateral, and you can really feel where he's more stiff in this region. So I find where he's most stiff, not necessarily where he's most sore, where I feel like the highest amount of tone in the tissue, and then I kind of mobilize it. And a lot of the videos will do stuff with the shirts off, or you'll see a lot of that online. I don't find that it's always necessary. And then once I've done some moving medial or moving laterally, I like to do some pushing medially as well. And then we kind of retest once we've got a little bit of relaxation there. And I prefer to do manual techniques with the hands as opposed to Graston, just because some of this tissue, or just as opposed to instrument-assisted soft tissue mobilization, just because some of this tissue here can be deeper. Now you could absolutely use a tool and do some instrument-assisted soft tissue mobilization, but I find that I can get a little bit deeper with the dummy thumb technique, and it gets a little bit better for some of these big meaty guys, especially as you look towards some of those erector spinae muscles there in the middle of the back. And that's where we get sore a lot of times after deadlifting, is right through that middle. So this is our dummy thumb functional massage technique. And even into some of these periscapular muscles. Definitely got some stiffness in here. And I do like to hit both sides quite often, even though he may be more affected on one side versus the other. I find that it's a good practice, especially when you're dealing with things close to the area. Why not hit them both? So we try to be very specific in physical therapy as well as in sports medicine with what we're doing in terms of soft tissue mobilization, massage, as opposed to what we see a lot of times, which is more general techniques. And these are always followed up with some form of exercise. I really like to do some of the things that require more co-contraction of all the muscles surrounding when I kind of do this. I'm just doing a little bit of a, side to side joint play assessment here. And then I always kind of just final up with, or finish up with just some transverse kind of friction massage and circular patterns. Just a really easy technique, feels pretty good. Just kind of moving through some of these tissues here. You could always come back to some cupping or some instrument-assisted soft tissue mobilization later, but generally find that works pretty well as long as you're kind of managing everything else that's going on from a strength and flexibility perspective. But that's a little bit of what we might do when someone comes in with a little bit of a thoracic strain. It doesn't take a lot. We're not going to spend 50 minutes on soft tissue mobilization, but a lot of times we will find some other restrictions when we go, a little bit of rib stiffness here, and I'm just giving them a force actually towards you guys at the camera, where I'm just kind of separating and giving a little bit of a traction and posterior to anterior, which is good for those costovertebral joints. Seems to be there. I just give them a little bit. And I can even hit a little manip there too. This side feels definitely different. Much better here, even though he's a little sore through here. A little bit stiff there, so. Just give him baby oscillations, just little pulses. Beautiful. All right, let's test it out. So go ahead and pop up for me. How's it feel?
Good.
Let me see some of that extension there. Better? So rest it up, and then we'll be back with another video here very shortly. Make sure to subscribe, hit the thumbs up. I would love to be a little bit more specific and show you guys some specific techniques through the thoracic region as well as into the shoulders, because these are always very important. But for our throwing athletes, we're a lot of times dealing with muscular-based strains, hamstrings, quads, back muscles, lumbar, paraspinals, even up into the shoulder region. At times we're dealing with muscular strains as a result of weightlifting and those sorts of things, so we just want to make sure we're managing them properly. And that comes back to him doing rest at home, some self-massage, rolling on a tennis ball, whatever it may be. So we'll see you guys soon.